Cameraman Grades, cameramangrades.com. How to film football training and professional consultations for camera operators, video coordinators, and sports video experts at all levels. Find us at cameramangrades.com or contact us directly at cameramangrades@gmail.com. Currently looking for the best camera operator of the 2025 NFL season. These are the best of the best, and we are putting it to the test. Today we are looking at the New York Giants versus the Los Angeles Chargers, week 4 of the 2025 season. Let's just jump right into it and get started. Perfect. Great setup to start, and it's not even going to count. So, wow. Looking really good at the start of this game. I like the work that the Giants are putting in already. All right. Right up on it. Love it. Tight set means you can get a little tighter, and then with the motion going out, they're expecting that to go out into a route. Wow. Look how tight to the edges they're getting right there. Beautiful. Look at that. Love it. Okay, a little more spread out this time. Got a single back. Spread top to bottom. So that looks really good. Okay. Where do they go from here? Third down. Awesome. What I really like about this play, and I've said this on previous videos with different teams, but all this motion before the play, safety's changing, the motion here. There's no reason to adjust anything. They're already set up for all that, right? And they're just letting it happen, and then expecting that, hey, that might actually change what's going to happen after the snap, and they're ready for it. And even at that, man, really tight to the edges, top to bottom. This is looking really good right now. All right, they didn't get it. So punting, there's a lot of space behind the punter. That's never going to be used. You're immediately going to have to cut it down, which they do, right? But if that's going to be the case anyway, you can just start it right here and then just allow all this to happen on the frame without having any movement, right? All right. Keeping up with the gunners going down the field. Perfect. All right. Heading back the other direction. Giants got the ball. Space behind the quarterback's not going to get used. Holding on to it a good amount of time throughout that play. So if I'm expecting the quarterback to take a 10-step drop, then yeah, you would want to include all that space, but it makes sense to just put it to okay. It makes sense to put it to the defensive side of the ball, and that can avoid stuff like this where you got a receiver running completely off the screen. This is the receiver that's about to catch the ball, and I didn't get to see any of his route on that. Okay. Definitely want to keep him in the shot. Okay. Moving with the run recognition immediately. Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, nice and tight, top to bottom. Still a lot of space behind the quarterback. Almost 10 yards behind the quarterback, with a very limited amount of space behind the safeties. So you're going to see that come into play on a lot of plays, where the safety's dropping, and the first thing you either have to do is move over to keep up with him, or zoom out. And then zooming out, if you already got space behind the quarterback, now you're just adding extra space around everywhere, and you'll see that happen at times in other videos, or possibly if that happens here, we'll see. Nice, look at that. All right, so keeping up with guys as they're dropping back. Safeties are dropping back, right? Corners, running with routes, all this is all right in the frame. There's almost no movement until you get to here. This is, man, really looking really good. And then, hey, we've got extra space here. We can cut this down. Okay, I would keep these guys in the shot a little bit and cut out the extra space, the extra grass down at the bottom. As you're zooming in, you can definitely do that. But that looks really, really good. Okay. Here's that move again. All right. Yeah. All right. So at the setup, you've got 11 yards behind the quarterback, right? 11 yards behind the quarterback, and then you've got, guys running off the screen on the left-hand side of the frame. I know it's a run and it's going straight up the middle, quarterback draw, but man, dude's quick. Just because they've got the extra 11 yards behind the play and people are running off this edge, it would make sense to just keep the right side of the frame here and then allow me to see all this happen with almost no movement at that point. Nothing really needed. He's pumped. Ultimately, it didn't affect anything. They were still able to coach off of that. Special teams, okay, some movement there, but it was really good framing. Kickoff. Panning over. Okay. So when you pan over on a kickoff, in the NFL, you've got this this kickoff rule where the front line is much farther up the field than the kicker. If you're not including the kicker, you can just pan over. Here they do that. They pan over and then zoom out right at the last second right here. Okay, so now you gain more space, but what space did you gain? You gain an extra 10 yards behind this front line, which is nothing. Nothing's going to happen there. So to zoom out doesn't make a ton of sense if you still have space along this right edge. I definitely want to see this guy catching the ball because I want to know those statistics for kicker statistics. But in this case, it doesn't make a ton of sense to have an extra 10 yards behind the front line. Awesome. Okay. All right. So then when we do want to zoom out would be to keep guys in the shot, right? So this guy, is hitting the edge here. We've got extra space along this edge, and this guy's touching the edge down here, and he's, his feet are actually off the frame, which I definitely want to see, any sort of footwork that he's putting down. Now he's going to start to make his cut. We want to see that. And then, of course, the quarterback, right there, the impact on the quarterback. So it's minor, but it is something to keep in mind that, there's times when people zoom out much farther than needed, and other times when not enough. Right? Or just zooming out is fine as long as it's done at the right time. Nice. Really tight along the edges there. All right, tight set. No receiver spread out wide. And get right up on it, which they do. And then they're ready to zoom out if they need to, but they don't need to, so they come back in. Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Way to use the space that you have. There's certain plays that come out of certain formations that just fill up your frame just perfectly. And that just seemed to be the case there. Man, they're really using the frame really well throughout the entire play. Just right to the edges. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Fantastic. Great work. Okay, really solid start. Right out of the gate. All right, fantastic tight. The rollout coming this way. Okay. I love the rollout heading this direction. I always have when I was filming, and seeing it here and the people who are doing it really well. Bam. I don't know what it is, the back taking that spot and the quarterback just filling that edge. But it seems to work really well, and they're keeping up with everybody. Look at that. You got a total of less than 5 yards on the edges. Really, really good looking stuff. You can't do it any better than that. Okay. Awesome. A flag on that play. Not sure what for, though. Let's see. Yep. Okay. All right. Awesome. Wow. Very, very nice. All right. I'm just looking. You've got a lot of space on this side and a lot of space on this side, right? And so that just makes this framing a whole lot smaller just to start, right? And I always want to see more detail, and I always want to stay as tight as you can in any situation. But it's more about what do you do with that space after the ball is hiked, right? So they're 80 to 85%, which isn't bad. Okay, I'd love to cut this down. I'd love to get up real tight. But let's see what they do with it once the ball is hiked. Yep. They come over, they cut that space down, right? So if the very first movement you do is to move over to cut space down, it makes sense to just cut it out to start. They do zoom out a little bit. They don't go any higher than the top of the chains, which is something that I say over and over again, because you don't want to get any more space, along the sidelines. But this is almost the entire frame side to side. Let's see here. Yep, right there. Right there. And you have to zoom out in order to get with this guy as well. So they've actually used more of their frame than when they started, which is great. always say that's a good, it's a positive movement if you're going to start using more of your frame as the play develops instead of less. Yeah, looks good. Okay, 5 yards both sides. Looks good. Continuing to keep more space behind the quarterback. Um, you know, it's the same thing I say over and over again, but it's just nothing's going to happen back there. Same with the punter. Nothing takes place back there. All plays, I'm assuming every single play is going to be moving forward at the start, at the snap of the ball. Right? If it's not going to be moving forward, I can make that adjustment on the fly. And you're going to have to, because things are going to change very, very rapidly at that point. Okay. All right. So we're seeing beyond the back of the end zone here. Okay. This is, let's just say, in the 2/3 box. All right. You've got 1/3 dedicated to the quarterback, and the entire end zone is their third. So all the action is taking place right here, right? I would always want to start with cutting that space behind the quarterback down, and not seeing out the back of the end zone. Right? Let's just go back to the beginning. There is some right to left movement, at some point there. Okay. But this all condenses down very quickly either way. So the safeties aren't even backing up in that case. All right. Okay. Same thing here. You've got the space behind the quarterback, and the very first movement is to cut it, to go right to left and down. You can see it right at the snap, and right to left and down, right? So that movement right there is just one extra movement that didn't need to be there. If it wasn't there, I could just watch this entire thing happen as it takes place on the field, and wow, look at that. Awesome. Okay. Made a great hit here, didn't wrap up, didn't get the tackle, and the guy squeezed out and got an extra couple yards. I saw that. It's fantastic. All right. Here you got less than 3 yards behind the safety. You got almost 10 yards behind the receiver, and as soon as he vacates, now you've got, I don't even know how many yards to the back of the end zone and plus once you get past there. So let's just see what happens. Safety hits the edge, right? I've got 10 yards behind the quarterback, and the safety's hitting the edge on this side, and now he's gone. Okay? That's where it doesn't make any sense to keep that space behind the quarterback. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's just pause here. Behind the quarterback, just count them off. There's 5 yards, 10 yards behind the quarterback, right? Let's see what kind of drop he takes. 1, 2, a little bit of movement, shuffling. All right. And then let's check the safety on this side. Right to the edge. Okay. He stays in it this time. That's good. Okay. Same thing. Space behind the quarterback here, and safety right to the edge. There. Okay. I'd rather just give him all the space he needs back there to do all this, right? And you don't have to zoom out as much to keep him in the shot. You know, if you're able to keep up with a safety doing all this back here along this left edge, you can cut this down on the right hand side and, you know, have it all just looking really good. Yeah. And then just gaining a lot of space there at that point. But zooming in after the play. Okay. 4th and 13. Punting. Okay. All right. Well, I don't even know how to grade this because the guy's off the playing surface completely. He just leaves. he's out the door. He's 5-10 yards off the field, right? And he's gonna come back in and make a play on it. But you got all this space across the top. You know, you could come down to see him, or you can say, well, if you're not going to be on the field anyway, you know, we're going to continue to film the field, which makes a ton of sense. Awesome. I love how they let that play out as long as possible before making any adjustments. Quick throw to the outside, no reason to make any adjustments. Everybody's still in the frame. Nothing really changed from when you set it up. That works. Nice. Fantastic setup. Man, that looks really good. I mean, if you're looking to get better at filming football games, that last play is one you could just watch on repeat. Oh my goodness, we're going the other way now. All right, see what happens when we go the other way? Big boot. Oh no! Stolen. Okay. Wow. All right. How does he get this ball? Fantastic. Look at this. Everybody's in the shot. No movement. Okay. Everybody's right there. No reason to adjust anything. Slight adjustment at this point. Thinking that the ball is gonna, you know, be thrown down the field, and then big man finds it the other way. Filmer recognizes it immediately and is going back the other direction with it. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 97. Fantastic. Wow. All right. Punch it in. All right. No. Got you down to the 2. Backing it up. 3, I guess. All right. Quarterback keeper again. Nope. All right. Awesome job. Okay. Change quarters. Second quarter now. Going the other direction. Handoff in the middle. Going outside. Bouncing outside. All right. 44. Looking good, man. Straight ahead. Oh. Filmer's spot on, though. 4th and 4. Kicking it. Ah. Oh, man. All right. No movement. Perfect setup. Perfect execution. Man. Right there, knocking on the door. Okay. Special teams kickoff. Pan across. and zoom in. Okay. Looks good. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay. So safety hits the edge on this side. Being able to see his footwork is important, right? So cutting out his feet on this side and then having an extra 7 yards behind the quarterback on this side. Why wouldn't we just move this over, right? Well, if we're going to do it, you just have the frame there and then just slide it over, right? And now we've got all the space in the world behind the safety. Or even split the difference, right there. Would be plenty of space behind the quarterback, plenty of space behind the safety. All right. But even at that, you can cut it down and make it even tighter. So, yeah, I always want to see the safety's footwork behind the play. Looks good. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Look how tight they stay here. All right, they've got some extra space behind the quarterback, but I mean, I could say that all the time, right? I've been saying it over and over again, but what do they do with that space? They use it, right? The defensive end's looping behind the quarterback to take a drop. Okay, they're not adding an extra 10 yards. They're not adding an extra 15 yards. You got a guy within 5 yards here, within 5 yards here. That's awesome. Okay, that works. Yep, nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh, oh, let's go. What a run. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, let's just see here. Got this receiver's hitting the edge here, just barely. But everybody's in the shot just perfectly here. And then the ball's away, and we've got a little dish off. Somebody who can make some yards out of it. But not with that defense, they're not. Fantastic job. All right. Nice. Okay. Fourth and 15. Kicking the field goal. Perfect setup. Perfect framing. Perfect flag after the play. What? Yeah, I might be doing that one again. Nope. Not on this one. Nice job. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Top to bottom, you can see how tight they are. Right here. Okay. A little bit of space, extra space, but they're starting to zoom up at the top there. So that makes a ton of sense. Looks really good. And no extraneous movements. Everything was self-contained in that original framing. It makes it so much easier for coaches and players to watch and evaluate just like that. Oh my goodness. Where did he come from? Okay. There he comes. Oh, coaches are going to evaluate that, right? What can we do to keep that from happening next game, right? Or if you're a defensive coach, what can we do to do that on every play? So, very nice. Okay. All right. So you got a receiver on this side hitting the bottom edge, and we've got space along the top, right? So I always say trade space if you can. If you've got space on one side and you've got players hitting the edge on the other, why wouldn't you use that space at the top down towards the bottom, right? Just move your camera down and frame up all this. Nice. Awesome. Okay. So, talk about trading space, right? At the snap of the ball, you got less than 5 yards on this side, right? Which I've been saying all along, right? You really only need 5 yards for a quarterback drop. Roll out, he rolls out just another 2 yards. If you were right here on this 40 the whole time, you would be able to keep it all in. Still less than 5 yards here, still less than 5 yards here. Perfect. I mean, just splitting the difference both ways looks great. I saw all that, right? Coaches can see all of that. It's kind of one of those things where I see something like that and I say, let's just do that all day long. Yes. Top to bottom, they used up the space perfectly. Okay. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Again, this is very consistent with all the best parts of what I've been saying all along. That play and the play 2 plays before it, were just so spot on. Just do it again. Nope. Second quarter, 3rd and 10, ball in the 50. 6:12 to go in the game. Yes. Awesome. Let's go. Quarterback. Fantastic. QB draw is dangerous. Pitch out, outside, coming this way. Fantastic. Awesome. Let's go. Great job. All right. Giants are moving the ball down the field here. Straight ahead. Immediate run recognition. They did not zoom out at all. Once they saw that that play was happening right up the middle, we're going to get in on it, right? Love it. Okay. Fantastic. Awesome. Wow. So great. Okay, just let the play happen. Frame it up correctly, let the play happen, adjust only when you need to, and anticipate when that's going to happen so that you're ready for it. That's what they're doing here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look at that. Just using every last bit of this frame until the moment that they need to, right? And then they come over. I mean, 1, 2, 2.5 seconds before they make any significant changes to this frame. And then they go find the ball. Okay? There's so much action here that they could be responding and reacting and knee-jerking to. They don't do any of that. They just let it happen. Fantastic. Okay. Tough run. Tough yard there. 2 yards. Sweet. Even better. No, let's try that again. Okay. Oh! All right. Hey, Filmer did a fantastic job on that. I like the play call. I like the quarterback coming this way. Always seems to work out really well for framing. And that's all I'm interested in, really. I definitely want to see teams succeed and get in the end zone when they get down this far. But what's the filmer doing to frame all this up? There's space. There is definitely space to frame some things up here. Let's just take a look. $75. Okay, but let's see how they use that space. Yep. Cutting the guy off up here at the top and then having a whole bunch of space at the bottom. I'd say if you're going to have the extra space, at least use it to keep everybody in the shot. Fourth and 11. Perfect. Okay. Same thing here. If you're going to have extra space behind the kickoff team, can we at least make sure that we see this ball land? Okay. I've got a sense of where it actually hit, but I didn't actually get to see it for myself, right? I always want to see it, right? If I can't see it, is there a good reason why I can't see it? Not really, when I've got this extra space here. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Left some time on the clock for the Chargers to come back down the field. Let's see what happens here. before halftime. See if they can put it in. Top to bottom, kept it pretty tight. On those routes where, you know, receivers are running to both sidelines, you really have to zoom out wider just to keep up with them. Okay. Like to see the receiver on this side for a little while longer on that. Just to see what happens down there. Maybe that was the better option of the two throws, right? And coaches need to be able to see that, and quarterbacks need to be able to evaluate it. Okay. Okay. Look at that, right on the edge. Ooh. Okay. Nice. Okay. All right. So let's just see here. So you got the space on this side, and then it kind of transfers to this side, right? If you don't have the space to start, you don't gain as much space behind the safety on this side, right? So you can stay in a little tighter by doing that, and then that just kind of puts your framing to here, probably about 75 to 80%. 75. Okay. Okay, top to bottom. Looks really good. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Using every bit of that framing from the beginning to the end. 4th and 2. What's going to happen with 38 seconds to go before the half? They're going for it. And try to get 2 yards. Middle of the box is wide open. Drawing them off sides and taking the free shot down the field. Okay. Wow. All right. So you got about 10 yards behind the quarterback. See how they use that space. You got 2 referees and the sky cam zooming out to keep that space. Spot on. All right. No movement. Perfect framing. And it's good. I always like when the referee confirms it. Kickoff. Pans over. Zooms in. Okay. So here, I'm all for cutting out the kicker, right? We don't need to see that kicker. Well, unless he's going to actually run in and make a play on it, which I'm all for. I love it when the kicker comes in and makes a play on it. If I'm going to kick out the kicker, if I'm going to drop him out, I'm going to put the frame right here. I'm going to put the other side of the frame over here, right? If I'm not going to put the frame right up on the returner, why can't we see the kicker? Okay. Right there. Now he's in the frame. Okay. But, you know, show the kicker some love. I don't hate kickers. I just don't want to keep them in the shot if they're not going to be contributing beyond kicking the ball, right? And some kickers don't. They just don't. So, they kick the ball and then they that's their job and they step off the field. And I'm whatever, that's fine. But when they are going to get involved, let's go ahead and keep them involved, but not at the expense of the other 21 guys on the field. Let's evaluate what they're doing as well. Awesome. Okay. All right. So this kind of goes back to what I say this a lot with a lot of different situations where a guy runs down to the edge here and there's a bunch of space up here. They actually account for that on this play, right? Right there. They come down, right? This receiver is coming inside. He's going to try to cut this guy off. So he comes down to see more of this down here. And I like that. You can see it, right? I can see the word intercept across the top of the frame here. And then once the play starts, I no longer see that word up there, right? Which means they came down to see more of this. And I like that. It's not something that I see from filmers across the board, and something that I say a lot, like, hey, you got all this extra space down here, and guys are running off the edge at the bottom. Can we trade trade that space, trade grass for players, right? More players, less grass. This is all 22 guys for the entire play, which doesn't always happen. And in this case, they kept up with it just perfectly to be able to do that, and with minimal movements and the right movements when the time came. And I like that a whole lot. All right, let's keep it up. Going again. Okay. Now, on the flip side, if the safety's going to step off on this side, can we use this space here and keep him in the shot? Same thing. Same thing going the other direction, right? Yep. And there's that downward movement. It's the same as 2 plays ago. I can see it right there. Intercept, no more intercept, right? Came down to see, that the play is going this direction, and that the receiver on this side came inside. That's him, right? There's another receiver went outside just a little bit, but didn't do anything up there. Okay. Nice. Okay. Right there. Okay. Using the majority of this frame for football. Still got guys here. Still got referees on this side, but, let's just see. At this point, if I want to drop somebody, I'll drop the referee and not the receiver. Okay. The receiver in front of the play here, this defensive guy is still chasing here. He doesn't even know that it's a scramble, that it's that there's an entire run happening behind him. This guy here is probably going to turn and block, or going to try to get involved in the play here. There's a lot of people still trying to get involved into this play. Yep. All right. Awesome. I got to see all that. Looks great. Okay. All right. Going back to trading spaces, right? Just a HGTV show from back in the day. But no space up here, plenty of space down here. If we can level that out, give him more space to run so that he doesn't hit the edge or he doesn't run off the frame. But ultimately, everybody stayed in the shot, and that works. Okay. All that space behind the quarterback. You know, we're beyond 10 yards behind the quarterback at this point. Right here. Okay. And then they move over. Okay, right here. This is all 22 guys in the shot. Still all 22 guys in the shot. This is kind of where I want to see it all day, right? Right there. Okay. Um, Not that it's bad if you don't. I mean, it's been great all the way through. But it makes me wonder why the rest of the time I have all this space here and all the space here. If we can get it to right here, the whole play would be awesome. And man, let's go. Oh. Wow. That is useful. Very exciting. Oh, none of it counted, I guess. Flags. Okay. Flags. Now they're saying it's going back the other direction. 3rd and 25. Okay. I would say this is a passing down, or possibly just try to get some yards and punt the ball. Yep. Which is what they did. Okay. If that breaks loose and you get a first down, great. Otherwise, a lot of times coaches just say, we don't have a play in the playbook for 3rd and 25. If we do, we're not using it right now, so let's just put it away and see if we can just get some yards and get off the field at this point. Just play the yardage game at this stage. All right. Punt looked really good. A single deep safety. Okay. Now you got dropping off. Okay. Cool. So no knee-jerk reaction here. The ball comes to this side, and since it's still in the frame, we're just going to go ahead and leave it. Right? Got a guy here. Got a guy here. Ball is here. Right? He catches it right at the edge, but he's still in the shot, so we can stay with him. And they do. And now we're down to the sidelines, and you don't have to go any farther than that. So they don't. That makes a ton of sense. You don't have to put the ball in the center of the frame and then just see 15 yards past the sideline. Go ahead and just let it all happen within the frame. Fantastic job. Okay? Okay. A lot of bouncing around on that play. I would consider that some knee-jerk reactions to what was happening, because there wasn't really anybody running off the frame. All right. Oh my goodness. Wow. What a run. Okay. Top to bottom. You know, the receivers are using side to side, sideline to sideline. So, you know, they're staying with them really well. And that in itself is a challenge, because typically we're looking at the sides of the frame, and you have to sense in your peripheral vision that here's somebody running. You know, the guys that I've got in the frame are running in both directions right now, and I need to zoom out to keep up with them as well. Not happening. That was a good frame too. All right. right? Nope, not happening. That was a good frame too. It's a good start. All right, you got to roll with the punches sometimes. I had it perfect. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. No plays. Perfect. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Okay, you got space behind the quarterback. What do you do with it? Well, let's just let the quarterback perfectly fill in that space right there. And then let's let the safety perfectly fill in the space on this side. Let's just let everybody be perfectly in the shot with no space along the edges. I think that's a great plan. Let's do that all the time. Bam. Bam. Let's go. And then look at that. No knee-jerk reaction, no centering the frame. Just for context, this is the center of the frame right here, right? This dot right here in the center of the frame. Okay? Ball's up here, right? And earlier, the ball's up here, right? And basically, you know, at the top of the chains, they don't go too much farther than that. There's the top of the chains. There's the ball, right? Almost at the very top of the frame. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying you don't have to center the ball to zoom in on it. You can zoom in and pan up at the same time and keep everybody else in the shot. All these people, right? That guy's not really doing anything, but at least I could see that he's not, right? I want to see it. I always want to see it. And look at that, top of the frame, you know, right on the chains. Fantastic. All right. Punts away. All right. So right here, right, all that space behind the punter is not going to be used, and it's going to be cut down immediately right there, right? So nothing happened behind that. Nothing ever happens behind that. Nothing's going to happen behind that. If you can just frame it up right there and start it there, now I can just watch all this happen from the beginning to the end of the play. And then come over. Need to see it. Wow. Holy hang time, Batman. Okay. Wow. I don't know. This seems like a really high punt. I was expecting it to have landed by now, and it hasn't. And they timed it up perfectly. They got to see everybody coming down the field and then find that returner on the other side. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can put a hang time counter on it. But yeah. This is awesome. Great job. Oh no. Ball's on the ground. Now we got the ball. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Okay. 3rd and 13. Okay. Now, right here, I can immediately see that there could be an issue here because any amount of space up here means you don't have any space down here. And if this guy takes any space, any steps backwards this direction, if this is a go route up the sidelines, you're going to immediately have to adjust to that, right? This is a common issue with a spread out formation on the goal line coming off this direction because just the angle of it means that you're on an angle across the bottom of your frame. So you got to kind of account for that. Okay, and then the other thing you can do is recognize that as soon as this guy vacates, you can bring this side all the way across. So let's see what they're going to do. Vacates, comes across, comes over a little bit, keeps that guy on the edge. Okay, guy steps off. Right, so the safety's stepping off right here, and we've still got that space. You can immediately just recognize that this can come over to right about here. Before the play even starts, you can expect that to happen, unless this receiver doesn't go anywhere and just turns and waits for a quick pass this direction. Wouldn't expect that on the goal line, but let's just, imagine if we could have brought the edge of the frame to right here and what that would look like. Well, it looks like the safety staying in the shot, in my opinion. Okay. Punt. Oh, oh, okay. And there it is. The exact thing that I just said you have to watch out for on the last play happens right here on the punt. Gunner, gone. Okay. Gaining space here because this guy's running this way. And we've got all the space here, and we've got the gunner running right off the edge. And we've got the first 7 to 10 rows of crowd on this side. Really, we can come over this way, and we can come down and even zoom out, to make sure that we keep all this in the shot. Because this gunner got off of that defender real quick. How? What happened? There's some hand play there for a second. I don't know. Now I have no idea. Right? Now we see it again. Right? Now he's free of that defender. What happened? What took place to get there? And then not being able to see the punter statistics where that ball actually landed. Wow. Okay. Probably just got expecting the hang time from the last punt to occur on this one, and that just didn't happen this time around. And then here comes your defense. Let's go. Awesome. Okay. Great job. Fantastic framing. Everything happened inside that frame, so there was no reason to make any adjustments. Zoomed in towards the end of the play to show what actually happened. Same thing here. Same thing, but not in a tight formation, in a spread formation, and then seeing everything happen inside the frame with almost zero adjustments at that point. Really dialed in at this point in the game. Let's see. Yes. What? Okay. Yep. Okay. Got some space behind the quarterback, but reasonable amount of space. And then right here, quarterback gets knocked down. Got a receiver on this edge. This is all 22. That's it. Yeah. Let's take it to the house. Oh, down to the 3-yard line again. That's twice. Oh man. Wow. Wow. 2 times in one game. Amazing. Here we go. 44, straight up the middle. Nice. You can give it back to him? Nope. Inside shovel pass. Oh, wow. What a play call. I thought they were going back to 44. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, a little bit of space here. Guy right at the edge. That works. Staying in the frame. Recognizing where the ball's going and finding it, and getting to see the spin into the end zone. Awesome. Okay. 21-10, going for 2? Or did they say he was down? 44 into the end zone. Okay. No, that was 2 points. 2-point conversion. Okay. Now it's 21-10. Got it. All right. So a couple minutes left to go in the third quarter. And there's the kicker again. So just for context, Giants just went up 21-10. see how that changes any of the play calling thrown on first down. Okay, fantastic job. 2nd and 9. Awesome. Okay. All right. He hits the edge just barely. All right, but overall that looks really good. Top to bottom, using every bit of that frame. All right. We got a first down out of that. Moving the ball, moving the chains. Busting it loose up the sideline to the end zone, and he's in. Wow. Game changer. Okay. Now they're going for 2. Okay. So, you can see this is interesting. You got motion coming this direction, and the ball's going the other way, right? They stay with it, zoom out a little bit. You got blocking going on up here. You got the guy, quarterback's heading that direction. Okay. So the one thing I would say is instead of going right to left, you can just kind of keep it right there where it's at. And then zooming up on the play at the end. Wow. And he's in for a 2-point conversion. Okay. Fantastic. Kickoff. Pan across. Seeing the returner. Did he step on the line? Doesn't look like it. Kicker's in the shot. Okay. Within 5 yards, both sides. Quick pass outside. Awesome. Great job. Okay. Okay. All right. Space behind the quarterback, and this guy here at the bottom, hitting the edge, off the edge. Keep the safeties, drop the refs. There they go. They made that last second adjustment right there. Right. I'd love to be here for the rest of the play up until that point. And then once the quarterback gets sacked, it's kind of a mute point at that point. But mute point, a moot point, moo point. I don't know. Doesn't matter. 4th quarter. Awesome. Okay. Top to bottom. Okay. Got some space around the edges. Keeping everybody in the shot. Looks good. Okay. Ooh, what a run. Let's go. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Same thing. Okay. You're going to keep the space behind the quarterback. Can we at least not drop out the receiver on the other side? Okay. I don't want space behind the quarterback because it ends up dropping out receivers on the other side, right? And I don't really care about the sky cam. There's only one cam I care about on the field, and the sky cam is not it. I want to get the ball down the field as much as possible. Okay. 4th and 12. Punts away, way up there. Straight up. Nice job. Fantastic job by the filmer on that. Okay. Kind of easy when it's a layup punt like that, but you still get to nail it every single time. And they did. Well, okay. All right. So, space behind the quarterback all game long, right? First thing that happens here, no space. Let's get rid of that space. Got just a couple yards, right? Couple yards behind the safety, couple yards behind the quarterback, and right there. This is all 22, perfectly framed. Everybody in the shot. Go find the ball. Even at that, no knee-jerk reaction to the ball being away. Love it. Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Cutting that space behind the quarterback down. Let's see if it continues. Yes. Yes. Oh. Okay. I'm excited about this one. Right? Quarterback fills that space. Defensive end loops around right to that spot. We're still within 2 or 3 yards, 5 yards total. Okay? Everybody's in the shot, still all 22, and we're tight, and we're framed up. We got space up here. We're got a guy running towards the edge here. Always something that you would want to adjust the grass for players, right? Less grass, more football, right? And there they do actually come down at the end of the play. But yep. That's what I like to see. Punt. Punts away. And it's out of bounds. Okay. Great job. Love to see it. And I get to see it. Because people are doing their job and doing it well. Straight ahead. Spread out a little bit more this time, top to bottom. Straight ahead. So, from a filmer's perspective, from my perspective, that's the exact same play twice in a row, right? Keeping everybody in the edge, on the edge of the shot, and then seeing the ball go straight ahead 2 plays in a row really doesn't change what I do at all. This play was fantastic, but the formation changed. I see a difference in the formation, but the play straight ahead, handoff up the middle. Okay, this is just going the other direction. Same play. I don't know if there's any nuance to that, if there's something different going on in there. I wasn't really looking. I'm looking at the edges of the frame and saying, is all 22 guys in the shot, and are all the decisions that are being made with the camera making sense for what's happening on the field. Okay, like this, 22, all 22, no movement, perfect. Okay, now we start to move with the runner, And he's up and he's down and he's hopping around. Okay. Love it. Okay, coming down. That works. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, I saw the guy on the bottom of the frame run off the bottom, and I kind of expected to see that happen on that. You know, it's a run going the other direction, so it's not all that big of a deal. Okay, but you know, you can kind of see it happen. Obviously, right here, if this guy runs to the back corner of the end zone, you're going to have to come out with him, right? It doesn't happen. It doesn't need to. I'm talking about the last play, but you know, it's the same situation here. Now the same play, you know, to a different back. This time it's going to 44 again instead of 6, right? So just staying with it. Again, from my perspective, it's the same play, aside from the fact that it was a quarterback keep on the last one, and that one went to the back. Going to the back again, straight up the middle. Let's go. Oh, oh. Almost. 3rd and 1 at the goal line. Can they punch it in? Or are they going to drop back and throw it? Nope. Straight ahead with quarterback keep. Okay. There's a guy turning around, not doing much. Obviously, it's inside run, so run recognition. Recognizing it immediately. Probably saw it coming if they, know their team. Okay, empty set. Now we've got a guy going in the backfield and then pulling it down and running around. Okay. Oh no! Thought that was an easy layup for a touchdown. Nothing easy in the NFL, right? Wow. Okay. Let's just see. This is a chaos play. Obviously it's fake to the motion man. He just kind of gives up on the route there. Not really anything. Maybe cutting inside would be a good option. But right here, this guy is defending who? I'm looking here. I'm seeing a lot of space. I see 2 referees and the sky cam and 13 yards behind the quarterback. And I don't see a receiver in that back corner. There he is. Okay, he came back in. Dropped a guy up here. Finally got this guy back in the shot. But what a huge, difference that would be if we had looking this direction, that way, towards the end zone, right, instead of the 20-yard line. If we saw just all, 4 corners of the end zone where everybody's trying to get to on 4th and 3. Hurts to get down there to the 3-yard line, 1-yard line at one point, and not get in. Okay, now they got 98 yards to go. Okay, like this. I love it when the formation and the play just fit in the frame just perfectly. You don't have to do much. It's easy filming right there. Okay, coming right at you. Yep, like I said, nothing easy in the NFL. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. All right. So this is good framing. You got some space behind here. Very little space behind the safety. He's right on the edge. And we've got space here. They're looking at this run. They're reading the run happening this direction. Okay. The knee-jerk right left to right movement isn't necessary. Right here, right? There's nothing over here. There's nothing over here. This dude's going this way all day long, and there's nobody to stop him. So obviously he's coming this way, right? Yep, he's got the edge, right? There's nobody out here to get in his way until this guy. Is it this guy? Nope, not him. Who's coming? 58. Okay. Now, where did 58 come from? He come off a double team? Yes, he did. Let's go. What? Ripping off a double team. Pop. Okay? That's what coaches need to see. That's why it's so important. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 All right. Lost safety. Dropped him out. Safety corner. Far side corner. Okay. So, I mean, it's framed up really well here at times. But if you can stay tight side to side, edge to edge, right, you can avoid dropping a guy out here because it's like you zoom out and then wait and then zoom out and then wait and now the guy's off. Okay, there's a moment where as a filmer you're sitting there saying, man, is he going to throw it, is he going to run it, what's going on? This play is taking longer than usual. Normally this ball's away by now, but just keeping everybody in the shot. Okay, now let's look at the other side of it. When you can keep everybody in the shot, right? Look at that. I can see every single defender, every single receiver, every route, every bit of contact. Okay, and then the deep ball going down the field. Ooh, boy. Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Nice tight shot. And then what's happening here? Where's everybody going? Nowhere. Right here in the shot. Got to come down here a little bit because of that guy. That works. Hey. Easy breezy. Nothing to it. Got it framed up perfectly. Just, just casual. Just keep it casual. Love it. There's so much good information there that coaches can just watch and let the play happen and see it right there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh man. Okay. Come up with a 6-shooter. All right. Did drop a guy out on the last play just for a second, but it was once the sack was already occurring, so it makes sense. This is special teams, spot on, doing a really good job with punts today. Okay. Tough running. Getting yards. Okay. Oh, they saw that one coming. Okay. Not sure what happened there. Okay. Said it was completion. Saw the ball after the play and was wondering. Okay. 2-minute warning. 21-18. Giants need to keep the ball out of Chargers' hands in order to finish this one off. Filmer's doing a great job. Expecting run as much as possible to take time off the clock. Okay, unless they absolutely have to. Incomplete passes would not be helpful. Getting out of bounds wouldn't be helpful in this situation. Okay. Now they have to punt it. Wow. 4th and 4, punting. 31 seconds to go. There it is. Oh no. Time. Time. Okay. Great job from the filmer. All right. 18 seconds. All right. A lot of space. A lot of space behind the quarterback. This is still the deepest man, so you can't come right to here and expecting that he's going to vacate, and then you still have, a 2-step drop or a 3-step drop, even if quarterback's going to, run straight down the 15-yard line. Let's just see what happens. Drop back. Okay, he's got a full drop back there. Makes sense because he's really got to throw the ball. All right. Great job. 13 seconds. Oh, it's not going to get there. I think that might be it, folks. Game. Okay. Wow. What a game. Came down to the last, everything on that. So, great job filming today. There's a lot of good things happening in New York. And so out of 161 plays, 149 were positive. That's a score of 93%. Excellent, 61%. There's a lot of things that were done very, very well with some serious excellence. I always like to have tighter shots, but keeping a little bit of a buffer and allowing the players to fill that space is a fine option in that regard. So that puts it up to 98.63% on the day. Great job from the New York Giants. Looking forward to what they're going to do in 2026. This is Cameraman Grades.